The president said there could be some pain from these tariffs. Watch this.
We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world. We have deficits with almost every country. Not every country, but almost. And we're going to change it. It's been unfair.
All right, Charlie Hurt joining me this Monday morning. Do you think voters agree that tariffs are worth the price if this drags on for some time?
Well, I think that the president is being very clear about this, that there will be at least some short-term pain. But I think the thing to remember is that, of course, you know who else is going to feel this pain are going to be Mexican citizens and Canadian citizens, which is why, as a bargaining chip, this is a very smart bargaining chip. When you have the largest economy in the world and you don't use it to your advantage to get what you want and to get the policy things that you want, then you're kind of leaving a really powerful tool on the table. And Donald Trump is the first president in decades to come along and say, you know, we're going to use this. Obviously, you know, I also think that Donald Trump, you know, got elected, you know, very clearly talking about these things and talking, more importantly, about the policy prescriptions that he wants to employ, whether it's closing the border or stopping the flow of drugs into the country. Both of those things are high priorities of Donald Trump and obviously high priorities of American voters because that's what they want done, and that's what we're seeing right now. The last thing I would say, though, is that you know, whatever pain does come from these tariffs, Donald Trump is acutely aware of that. Nothing Donald Trump wants more after getting the policy agenda, America First policy agenda through. Nothing he wants more after that than prosperity. And he wants that prosperity for all Americans. And so I think he is going to wage this war with a very keen eye to how it is affecting American consumers and employees.
Where are the Democrats on this? They haven't had any real response other than to say, look, the prices are going to go up. And we've not seen a real solid response at this point.
No, they've left the field. They're not even part of the conversation. That's what's so fascinating about this, and that's what's so interesting about Donald Trump. Suddenly, you hear all these Democrats suddenly concerned about inflation. After 4 years of absolutely destroying the American dollar and destroying people's value in people's pockets, they suddenly act like they care about inflation? No, they don't. They care about all their stupid, crazy policy wacko stuff that they've been pushing on every aspect of American life for the past 4 years. And then suddenly, now that they're out of control, they claim to care about grocery prices. Chuck Schumer claims to care about the price of an avocado or a bottle of Corona beer. No, he doesn't. He hasn't lifted a finger to do anything about inflation when they pass the massive inflation explosion bill that will forever be Joe Biden's legacy and jacked up inflation in this country. They didn't care about it. They didn't do anything but support those policies. And now that they're been banished off the field, have no power whatsoever, they're going to carp and complain and act like they care about grocery prices? Oh, give me a break.
You know, it's extraordinary, but this is the 2-week anniversary of Trump getting into the Oval Office. He's only been there for 2 weeks. And look what's happened. Amazing stuff. Charlie, good stuff. Thanks very much for joining us. See you again soon.